Hello and welcome to Uncontested with Sam, Kevin, and your host Matt. How's it going, boys? Back in the NBA. Let's. I know we're starting a little bit late, but better late than never.
Yes,
It's
sir.
a wild season to jump back into things, so it's good to be here. Good to be here.
Yeah, I'm just glad that we don't have to talk about that All-Star break because that was a nightmare. I don't know about did you guys watch it at all?
Yeah,
I
I
did.
was really I was really interested in the dunk contest and Steph versus Sabrina, and that was it.
Yeah.
And even that was a little okay.
Wait. Hold up. First off, let's acknowledge Indiana should never host an All-Star. This is the most like surprisingly they did. I would actually say surprisingly for the Indiana Pacers, they actually did a good job. I think the skills challenge was a great improvement. I think just no one tries. That's the problem in that challenge.
No.
But I appreciate what they did there. 3-point contest. I mean, can't mess up a 3-point contest unless no one makes anything. Uh, I mean, Steph Sabrina. We'll jump into that a little bit later. Dunk contest, never watch it. Not worth your time. Go to bed.
No.
Go home. Go bed.
Yeah, let's get Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine back in that bitch. Let's
Um,
make
Facts.
it somewhat enjoyable. I don't know, man. I'm so done with that. It seems to be like a very common theme around all of NBA enjoyers that the All Stars just doesn't really matter. So why don't we get right into this season, guys? Right on the docket, we're looking at the current standings, and surprise, surprise. For anybody that knows or has seen us talk to us or whatever, we are typically really big Timberwolves haters, and yet they are number one in the Western Conference right now, which is such a big change in tempo as from last year and the year before that. Sam, what do you think about the Timberwolves in general? Do you think they're going to be able to like make a decent run in the playoffs, or do you kind of just, think it's more of a season thing where they're just racking up wins and it's not going to mean anything?
Oddly enough, and for the number one Rudy Gooby hater of all time, I think somehow the team works. I think this team has the right balance of youth and like strong veteran presence. I mean, Anthony Edwards, I think phenomenal, like just athlete in general. I think has been a real carry for this Timberwolves team. I mean,
Just had a
alongside
kid.
with yeah, exactly. And along with that, and Cat's Cat. I mean, we know we bash on Cat, but I think for the first time he actually has real support and in terms of a star athlete. That's not D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah.
Along with another big man, Rudy Gobert. And I think my favorite piece is Mike Conley. Uh, but
Yeah.
for the lack of physique that he has now at this age, I mean, man's 36, man's getting to Bron age. And, the stuff that he can do off the ball and with the ball for this team, I think is really what's accelerating their game, in my opinion. So I think this team can really, really be a threat. Only concern is that being on top of the West doesn't really show that you're strong. Just the way that the West is. I mean, we can look at down, 1 through 10. I mean, the worst team is, I don't know, maybe the Lakers. And even then, it's like the Lakers can still show up. You got two all-star athletes like AD and LeBron. You just never know.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I mean, like, listen, all I'm saying is somebody just had to get punched in the face in order for Timberwolves to work properly, right? Kevin, we're looking at OKC for the number 2 spot in the Western Conference. This, I feel like, was a long time coming. We had the picks, and it was just a matter of time before, Chet finally got to play in, before Shea really hit his mark. What do you think of OKC in the playoffs?
I think it's going to be interesting for them, especially in the playoffs, because, like you said, they're such a young team, and we're finally starting to see that slow climb that they're making to probably eventual greatness. But right now, they're still such a young team. I mean, Chet's obviously super, super young. Even Shea is like pretty young, all said and done. So getting them into the playoffs, it's going to be really interesting to see how a team that's average age is probably like 25 or something like that, how they react to the intensity of the playoffs, especially against Like Sam brought up, like the Eastern Conference teams, like what's that going to look like? You have the Celtics that have been to the playoffs so many times in the past few years and can, well, probably always choke, but like they at least have experience and they know what to do going into it. Where OKC, I don't know, it's kind of a double-edged sword in that they don't know what to expect, so they kind of are going in it with a little bit naive. But that also could help them because they might not feel the pressure as much as someone like a Celtics team that have been there so many times and never really done anything with it.
Not right.
And
You're right. You're right.
so,
That is very
yeah,
true.
leaving with the
However,
Jazz story.
the Celtics this year are number one in the entire league right now, 48-12. They've got, let's see, 29-3 at home, 19-9 away. They have a 11.4 differential when it comes to points per game and opponents' points per game. OKC, however, they are the number one scoring team in the West right now, which is pretty fucking crazy. That team is an offensive juggernaut. It's absolutely insane. I love the future coming up with like the whole Chet and Wemby discussion, like the little confrontation that they've got going on.
Can I
And
just
we'll get
add
into
real quick?
Wemby. What, Sam?
I can just add real quick about the journey of Gordon Hayward. Is this man has only traveled to very strong white neighborhoods in all of his career. I want to say, man starts off at Butler, all the way in Indiana. I think it's in Indiana. I assume Butler sounds like an Indiana school. Starts off in Indiana, gets drafted to Utah, goes to Mormon land, leaves Mormon land to go to Boston of all places. It was from Boston, it was to Charlotte, the most racist city in America. Being then traded from Charlotte to Oklahoma City, which could get even more wider. This is unbelievable. This is the most unbelievable journey. I hope there's 30 for 30 for this. I hope someone does this and hope they understand the importance of Gordon Hayward's traded journey with the NBA.
I just like that he's doing well, man. From all of the injuries that he's had, like he kind of deserves a W somewhere in there. Oh my fucking god. Yeah, OKC is looking really, really hot. The next big question that I have, though, there was a recent discussion that Stephen A. Smith had. Really quickly, I just want to gauge the room. Sam and then Kevin, fan of Stephen A. Smith?
Yeah.
Oh, yo, you need to chill out. Know your place.
Sorry.
Know your
Sorry.
place.
I get
Yeah, yeah.
heated about Stephen A.
You know what? I think the undesirable take is that I think he's actually pretty good for what he does. Uh, I mean, I've heard him on other podcasts, and I think he's like quite a sensible person. And uh, I think his loyal fandom to the state of New York is also like a phenomenal thing, and not just. I mean, I'm a little bit. I mean, he's old school. He's definitely on the Jordan train. I'm younger. I'm on the LeBron train. We'll get to that later. But as wild as it gets, and now with his new partner, Shannon Sharp, I think it's like you found someone that can talk even louder and even bigger at times. But I'm a fan of Stephen A. I think Stephen A. is like not Stuart Scott, but I think is the face of ESPN. If Stephen A. Smith lives, like what are we watching? You know?
Yeah. I got you, Kevin.
I agree pretty closely. Like, I think Stephen A strikes that like middle ground of where sports broadcasting is kind of now of like he's not Skip Bayless level. He doesn't just throw out takes to be dramatic and over the top. Like he is dramatic and over the top, but he doesn't just say stuff to be inflammatory intentionally. But he's not on the opposite side of the coin where he's not boring. He's not going to just talk about basketball, almost like I love JJ, but JJ is much more like technical, like breaking things down and talking to players and stuff like that. And Stephen A kind of is somewhere in the middle of entertaining, but also knowing what he's talking about and knowing the game and having actual insight into the game. I like that.
Well, the reason I bring him up is because there's a recent quote that he said that the Lakers will not be able to beat the Nuggets for a finals stretch. Kevin, as our resident Colorado shut-in, do do you agree with this? Because I know you also were. I don't know if you still are a huge Lakers fan. I know you were for sure. But how are we feeling? Because I kind of have to agree with him. I can't imagine the Lakers beating the Nuggets for the run for the finals.
Listen, I'm a Lakers hype beast for sure. Love just kind of hyping them up and being a fan of the Lakers, but I agree completely that I don't think they have what it takes to beat them in a finals situation. I think if they get to the finals and something like that, then it's not going to be in the Lakers' favor to fight that battle there. I think there is a potential for fine aged wine LeBron to turn on the Jets and like overtake a game, but you can't have that. You can't rely on that for a whole series in the finals. Like I don't think they have enough supporting pieces right now for LeBron to turn it on for 1 or 2 games and then the rest of the team take over and win best out of 7. That's just I don't see that happening with the against the current Nuggets roster. That's pretty deep, pretty reliable, very like consistent and good, and obviously Joker just being an all-time great, amazing
Yeah,
player. So
yeah, he's almost like a fucking meme at this point, honestly, and he kind of always has been a meme. The Joker. We all know how much he loves horses more than he loves the game, which is fine. I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. But Sam, are you kind of on the same page?
It's kind of interesting. I think it comes down to like the one factor of this LeBron James and what comes out of LeBron James at this point. I mean, you just even look at his stats. Honestly, it's pretty impeccable for his age to do what he does. The man still averages 25 points a game. Think about it. The man is old. The man is old. Oldest mind possible. 25, 7, and 8. Oh, tell me who can do that at that age. There's no one. Jordan cannot. Yes, I brought Jordan to this for no reason, but that's what I do best. That Jordan didn't do this, right? But the thing is, I mean, if we watch that Lakers and Clippers game, man had like 5 straight threes back to back to back to back to beat the Clippers, who we think is might be the new juggernaut team, but clearly shows a lot of weakness still. I get that the Nuggets are well rounded, but there's something about that team I don't feel that confident in general. And not just because of Lakers matchup. I think they'll beat the Lakers. I mean, just like last year, but something about this Nuggets team, I just don't feel that confident. I think it's just like the not the lackluster of Jokic. It's more like the lackluster of his interest in the game anymore. He got a title. Why does he care? You know, he got horses. He got horses in Serbia. He's fine. He's set for life. You know, but in I mean, if this matchup happened, I think I wouldn't be shocked either way. I think that's how confident I am with this Lakers team, which is odd to say because I think we said every year that they made these ridiculous changes and they're like, oh wow, they look so good on paper, and then it completely flops. And I think even this offseason they looked really well on paper. And then
Yeah.
I think just a lot of injuries and things just didn't pan out as well as expected. But I mean, they're still a 9 seed. I mean, they can still shake up some of these young guys, you know. Like I said, for them, it's even better to be the 7, 8 seed at the end of the day, play OKC. I think the Lakers could easily be OKC. I think I'm pretty confident in that. I don't know. There's something about that OKC team I don't feel that confident in with their youth and just being able to work in these pressured moments. I believe in Shea, but I don't know about the rest of the squad. Um, but being in the threat with the Nuggets and the Clippers, I feel a little iffy on their presence.
Okay. Yeah, I feel that. Moving forward, I kind of want to quickly go over the Celtics absolutely decimating the Warriors. It was a pretty bad game. I'm not gonna lie. It was tough to watch. I mean, do we really have anything to say about this? I can't imagine that the Warriors are really gonna have much to do over the last few times before the playoffs. You guys have anything to add to the game?
it was a tough one to see, like I kept getting the notifications like at the half, it was like Celtics were up by like 60, and then looking at the final score now, 140 to 88. That's just brutal. And the Warriors are not in the place they want to be at for sure. I think they're really starting to feel their age. They're in the exact opposite situation of OKC. Like they're old, decrepit, and coming off of however many championships, like a literal true dynasty. And now I think we are starting to see that minor decline, and it's looking rough for the Warriors for the next few years.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. It looks like the Celtics are going to be making a really good push for the finals this year, in my opinion, just from how it looks. Their team is really working well together. Derek White's been wildly good. KP somehow is making it work. I guess this just happens to be the team that he's playing well for. They're looking pretty decent. Sam, I haven't really caught up with this. I've heard like rumors and whatever, but the Trae Young situation about leaving Atlanta, where are you at with that right now?
You know me, insider Atlanta beat right over here. I mean, he was talking on Bleacher Report just recently about the rumors. He's someone that says that he wants to be with a team that really supports him and is really open to it. I'm a little confused with this Atlanta Hawks team, and I think the blame is not Trae Young. I think that's like a huge like I don't know what we're talking about here. I mean, if you look at their depth, it should work, right? I mean, Murray, our boy Bogey, Sneak Bay, Jalen Johnson, Clint Capella, like it's a solid starting lineup. Um, I know Young injured. I mean, Atlanta's probably going to fall out of the playoffs, and that's going to really pull into the offseason what this question is. I think Trae Young, I mean, just like I feel like for Luca as well, I think they deserve better teams because their teams are not really improving their rosters. And even with Atlanta kind of reminds me of the Lakers where they bring in a lot of like talent that should work and it's just not working. I mean the Spurs, I mean, thank God they got rid of Murray. I mean, that guy's a that guy's a bum. I mean, this guy can't play, you know? And it really shows that this team trying to build around defense lacks the actual offensive presence to really compete against the top athletes that we saw, maybe 2 years ago when they were a low seed beating Philly, getting to the Eastern Conference Finals and then losing from there. But uh, you know, no one's actually said anything. I think there are just rumors that this offseason Trae Young will not be a Hawk. He's the first Hawk out. That's what is being said. So I don't know what you guys think about where he would go to either start his new career or what Atlanta gets in return.
Yeah, I really don't. I don't know. I'm not a huge Trae Young fan. I kind of dropped off the hype train after his All-Star appearance a couple years ago. Um, he's a great player, great offensive threat, but I just haven't seen much of a change from like the defensive side, which is like, I mean, you could be Tyrese Halliburton and just like never play defense and it somehow works, but like it's just not working for that team from what it looks like. The 26-34, obviously losing record, um, on the very brink of getting out of any kind of playoff contention whatsoever. Um, Trae Young is obviously probably the only player that's really pushing them to that playoff contention. DeJounte Murray is one of them, I would say. He's a really, really fucking good player. The one thing that is blowing my mind right now, guys, is can you guess who the second highest paid player on this team is?
Like Capella.
Yes,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
we're
right,
team Clint
Kevin.
Capella
Wow.
over here.
Okay.
We love Capella over here.
Look, I have nothing against Clint Capella, but like, I don't know, man. I look at other teams and like, you have like for the Celtics, you have Jason Tatum and you have Jaylen Brown, two incredibly talented players. And it's just like, yeah, that makes sense. That dynamic makes sense. But like you've got Trae Young making about 40 million a year, and then you have Clint Capella making 20 million a year. It's just like, I don't know if Clint Capella is the person that I want to like have as my quote unquote, according to the money, second best player on the team. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's looking pretty bleak over there. Something that I really do want to talk about that's a little bit more interesting is the Wemby discussion that's been going on. This Spurs team looked like absolute garbage in the beginning, and now they've finally been like, hey, let's use our best player. And it's been insane. This run from Wemby is absolutely incredible. A lot of people are saying that he's probably going to be the next GOAT, which is insane because we've been talking about Luka possibly being the next GOAT, you know, like after LeBron leaves. And now like Wemby comes in and he's just like all over the place. Sam, what's more wild? Scoot over Wemby or Bagley over Luka?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how the Kings really messed this up. I don't know, like, what in their mind they thought Marvin Bagley. It's like I feel like that's the whole thing about milking the whole like I went to Duke, so therefore I'm good. Anybody that's played in Europe or outside of not playing college basketball is already a step ahead of the game just because the amount of talent there is outside of America is just way better than NCAA basketball. I think we all agree with that. And I I mean, the way Scoot's playing, I mean, maybe we give Scoot benefit of that. Everyone's rookie year, you know, it's just getting adjusted. I mean, the amount of guards that Portland has is kind of like unbelievable. So maybe I'll wait on Scoot for another year or two, but still, you cannot mess that up. You cannot. Everyone knew. You watch any highlight, any game of Luka's back when he played in Europe, and you would know that this guy is him. You know, same thing with Victor as well. You know, but I think just like how like social media is starting to like portray a lot of things. I mean, you know, we've seen like Lonzo Balls, you know, where it's just like it gets blown up with the family and their TV show and all this, and it's like, I mean, I think we agree. Like, I mean, Lonzo Ball was, I mean, really had to emphasize was just to you guys was good, you know, and probably won't play in this game again. I mean, we still haven't seen LaMelo in action with his ankle issue and stuff like that, but you know, it's kind of that weird balance of like, you know, these kids play AAU basketball a lot, whereas like a lot of these young guys in Europe just play actual like men's basketball, you know, coming right out of that. So, you know, that's why I can see this like pinnacle difference between, you know, like I think the G League like Ignite team where everyone those high school kids just go there to play for a year. I think it's like actually not that great, like the talent that comes out of there. I think it's very overrated, I would say. I mean, like, let's see with these Thompson brothers. I think they're pretty decent for the most part, but still, you can't. I mean, you see, you know, I think I see the thing with like Wemby. Though you have to pick Wemby just because like you can't see that someone that freakish dribble the ball. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna obviously pick them. Like you can't mess that up. But it's like I could maybe see the Luca factor being like his physique is like kind of deceiving for like how he plays the game. So it's like, you know, he's not like built. I mean, he's thick, but he's not like built as like prototypical, like, hey, this is an NBA player. But the way he plays is obviously very magical in that sense.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, whenever I think of Luka, I kind of also think of like Jokic, where it's just like they have that quote unquote dad bod, and it just like works really, really well for them. Honestly, power to them because that's being that good and having that kind of shape. It kind of makes me feel good as we're getting older.
Right. And you know, it's kind of wild. I just saw on Bleacher Report's betting that on FanDuel they have I don't know what the right terms are, but they have odds for Wemby recording a quadruple double for at some point towards the season. It's plus 10,000.
What the fuck?
I don't even know what that means. I'll be honest with you, but that sounds like, that sounds like you can get back if that happens.
Is that what it was, or that's what it is? Because if that's what it is, I'm gonna take that bet right now.
So
go put
plus 10,000 essentially, Sam. That just means like if you bet $1, and you won that bet, you would win $10,000.
I got it. I got the screenshot for you guys. I got this.
I think it's off by 1-0. So I think you'd win 1,000 if you bet one. I think.
Not with
Plus,
10,000.
well,
Oh, well,
plus
actually, nope. I think you might be right. You might be right, Kevin. I'd have to double check, but it's.
Oh, that'd be wild. It could just be bet $1. I bet.
I
I
mean,
bet
either way,
$5 and
that's
I'll get a
still
Mercedes out of that. I'm done.
it's
I'm
still a
set.
lot of money. Like one for 1,000, one for that's still a
Let's do
fuck
this
ton of money.
live.
Hey, just saying, we think about pulling some cash. I mean, we're not here promoting,
Yeah, I'm not
gambling.
promoting anything, but I live in Colorado, so I can gamble.
Yeah,
can
same.
gamble.
I live in Illinois, so I can do it. Wait,
Uh,
has anybody done that? A quad double?
there's been one record. Technically, there's two, but only one was recorded, and both by Spurs players. So David Robinson recorded the first quadruple double. Tim Duncan, they showed. I'll send the link to you guys. They missed it, but he was one rebound short of a quadruple double. So
Damn.
that just proves it that it's in their blood. It's a Spurs blood. We can do quadruple doubles.
Can you imagine how much better Luka might have been if he went to the Spurs?
I'm telling you. I don't know what happened, but it's
Yeah, it's just
it's gonna be
crazy.
fun. It's gonna be fun with Victor and San Antonio. We just need to get one more. Hey, maybe it's Trae Young. Who knows? We need someone to actually play with him that knows how to dribble the ball. But just saying, if we need to pull some money in and we need to get a bag by the end of this season, I'm all in.
Hey man, if Pop stays there for a little bit longer, I don't know how much he has in him. I really don't. It's kind of wild, but you never know. You never know. Moving on to the first in-season tournaments. We were talking a little bit about this. I'm going to be completely honest. I did not watch a whole lot of this, and the ones that I did watch, they were just kind of on TV, and it just sort of happened. There wasn't. I don't know. I don't know if it was just like because this was the first year, there was a lot of like confusion on how to broadcast this kind of stuff or how to like advertise these games. It was just it seemed very out of sorts to me, in my opinion. I wasn't really a huge fan. The players loved it, I guess, but as a fan, I didn't really care too much about it. Kevin, what were your thoughts?
I thought it was interesting. I think it was a good example of the NBA trying to do something different, take a risk almost, and just kind of switch out the middle of the season, which is notoriously just a slog for fans. Like no one's gonna watch 80% of the games in November or other than Christmas Day in December or in January. Like that's when people notoriously don't care because it's the middle of the season. The standings are going to be decided for another 3 months. And most of the players don't care in the middle of the season either. They don't want to get injured. They don't want to try too hard if they know later in the season they're going to have to go hard to get that higher seed. And I think this was a good middle ground. The players seem to like it a lot. They really from the sound of it, we're enjoying it and we're getting motivated. They were definitely playing harder from what I saw. A lot of the games are close. They were intense. They were fun. And it gave, especially a lot of the bench guys, motivation to like hype up the team. Like you were seeing at the end of some of those games, the benches were just going crazy because they know that if they win, those guys that are getting paid, they're on like two-way contracts or whatever, are getting huge bonuses, which is awesome for them. Like, and that's just hype. I think they need, Matt, to your point, they need to do a better job advertising, kind of explaining what's going on. I think at least to the general public. If you're sitting there watching a game, the announcers kind of always explain it. It's not that like in depth. It's not that complicated. But I think it's really easy to just like tune into a game randomly, like turn something on and be like, okay, what is this? What does this mean? Why do I care about this?
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. I think they could do with some PR.
Yeah, not to mention like some of the court like colors were a little bit off-putting. Some of them were like really cool, but a lot of them in my opinion was just like holy shit, this is like really in my face. It's a little too much. Yeah, I think I'd be more interested to see how they adjust it in the off season. That's kind of what I'm looking forward to. Um, Next topic is LeBron getting 40K. Uh, Obviously, I feel like every single conversation around LeBron is just more of the same. It's still incredible, don't get me wrong. Like it's absolutely amazing what he's able to do and accomplish at this age, especially. But like I look at this and I'm just like, like makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's very much like, yeah, if anybody's gonna do it, it would be him. Um, in my honest opinion, I kind of think the more impressive uh, recent news that has happened is Caitlin Clark. Um, beating out the top scorer for in the college level for men's basketball too, which is absolutely amazing. Obviously, both and even LeBron, tweeted out to her or whatever saying congrats for hitting this new level and whatnot, which is absolutely incredible. But Sam, do you have any thoughts on LeBron or even the Caitlin Clark accolades?
I mean, I think obviously first we gotta give our flowers to the GOAT of the generation. 40K. There are only 7 other active players with more than 20,000 points. Those are the next closest. That's
Wow.
wild. The next closest being Kevin Durant, and he's almost.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he missed a lot of things. Last games with that, and I, I think I can almost be pretty confident that I don't think anyone can break this record. I think just at the rate that look, Kareem fell off
Mm-hmm.
towards the end of his career. So I mean, he wasn't scoring. The thing is, like, he's not falling off. Yes, it's a lot less. Yeah, he's not playing defense. I get that. Yes, maybe that it is a team sport, so it's like obviously we can't rely on LeBron like we did before.
Mm-hmm.
Carrying the Cavs teams and the Heat teams as well. But I mean, the only person I can see maybe getting there is probably Luca. But like I said, I think for someone, LeBron is the only person that cares about his physique year over year. He's
Yeah.
putting in the money, the grind for that. Everyone else is just enjoying and having a good time, which is, to each their own. But they're, it's just wild to think that like there's that much of a discrepancy. Even for Kevin Durant, he's still 12,000 points away from LeBron James reaching that. So, which is probably not going to be attainable at this point. But that's my due diligence on LeBron James. But Caitlin Clark, obviously, I think we thought Sabrina Ionescu was like is her. I mean, she is her. I mean, that's
Yeah.
I mean, she plays a whole different game. I mean, that 3-point contest with Steph, and literally, and I think people forget that she shot at the 3-point NBA 3-point line. She didn't shoot at WNBA. It's different. She
Mm-hmm.
shot the NBA 3-point line. Yes, with the WNBA ball, but that's still. I mean, you're shooting like almost a foot back still, so you're not used to doing that. And she was basically on par and could have probably beat Steph Curry at that point. But
She shot
I
as
mean,
much as Dame.
as Dame, exactly, the winner basically.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think with Caitlin Clark, I think one of my favorite things is her. I remember the first time I heard Caitlin Clark is when she got a technical for taunting after a three. Um, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be something. I just know this person's gonna be something. And you just hear it next year and the year after, and here we are now. I mean, the way she elevates this game and really puts, you know, I think we can agree that the WNBA has finally become more interesting. The way that they're starting to use other platforms and other sports as their way of really marketing it, and eventually, maybe it can really stand alone as a thing that's really strong with better talent like this coming into the league. I just think every time we see it, like another woman just balling their life out, I think it's just really admirable to it's just fun. It's just fun for the first time. I think, as we can say, it's actually really fun watching them ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to close out the show, we've got one last discussion. It's gonna be it's gonna be tough. We've got the top 3 most depressing teams in the NBA. I think I can speak for all of us that at least the most depressing team in the NBA right now would be Detroit. Am I correct for saying that?
I think if we had to pick a top three, Detroit would be on my list. I would agree.
Kevin?
Yeah.
Okay.
I,
I would
I
probably
think,
say number 2 would be the Wizards.
yeah, I mean, real quick on the Pistons, I think Monty Williams is the most fraudulent man in NBA history. I think this is wild. This is just wild. I don't even know what to say about this. Like, you can't be that bad. You can be that bad as a city. You can't be that bad as a team. I mean, with the draft picks, like, I don't know what doesn't resonate. And the Wizards, look, they're trying to move to Virginia. That's how bad they were. They're trying to move to Virginia with their new arena, and it failed. So they're stuck in DC now. And is it just me when you see Jordan Poole? Do you think is it the way his eyes are shaped? He just looks sad.
He
He just
does look sad.
he just looks like a sad boy.
Every single picture that I've seen of Jordan Poole is just like there was one of him just like splayed out on the bench, and I'm just like, man, that is absolutely a mood. Holy shit. The Washington Wizards are currently on a 15-game losing streak. Do you guys remember what the record was that the Pistons had this year? Because I don't. I
Well,
think it was.
wasn't
I
it
think
28 games?
28.
I thought so. Yeah.
Do you think the Wizards could hit that? Because God, it's looking bad.
I don't know, man. It's just you wouldn't think like, and I think this comes to be an issue in the greater run about the NBA is that the amount of threes that is coming out of these games is like it's like too much now. Where it's like I get that it's a skill, but it's like it's not that entertaining to shoot from like are we going to be shooting 3/4 of the court now? Like eventually we have to like you know something has to like start shaking up. Like I mean, even these like like the amount of free throws that Luca gets is like unbelievable. Like the man gets like 16 free throws a game. I was like, something's got to start changing there. But I just don't know, what to do for like some of these sad teams. I don't know how to describe them otherwise besides just being they're just sad. They're just like the thing is like I want the Wizards to be fun. The thing is like they have a
Yeah.
lot of like interesting players. Like the way Kuzma plays is really fun to watch now. I mean, Jordan Poole, I think we had huge expectations after Golden State. It's just like completely faltered. And he's just a no-show here. I mean, Pistons, Cade Cunningham. I mean, we don't talk about him. We'll never talk about him. At this
Which
point,
really sucks.
for being a number one pick, I don't even know how many years ago now. It's just like he's almost non-existent. I mean, it's just really sad to see some of these teams be that bad. They shouldn't have this much of a spectrum. I feel like in the NBA, I get it that yeah they're the worst team in the NBA, but like, will they even get 10 wins? That's what I'm wondering. That's what I'm concerned.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I'm looking at the Pistons, and it's just like one of the biggest things I've heard across the league is basically just like, why doesn't Jaden Ivey have more minutes? Because he's a really, really good player, and it just seems like the coach just does not care about him, which is crazy to me because he's really good. It sucks to see that Cade Cunningham isn't getting his isn't really getting his stride. He's doing really, really well, and like if I was a Pistons fan, which thank God I'm not, because that's some mental health stuff that you really got to deal with. And I'm a Bulls fan, so I understand what pain is. um, but like at least you have Cade Cunningham. I do like this player a lot, but like God, this is a depressing team to say the least. Truly depressing team. I think the third most depressing team might be different for all of us. So, Kevin, I'm going to swing it to you. Who do you have as your third most depressing team?
I got a hot take here, I think. A middle of the road team, a team that's been middle of the road for forever, not the Bulls, but the Dallas Mavericks.
Ooh.
Uh, when you have Luca and Kyrie on a team, it's both scoring 16 points combined basically every game, and you're still like what, an 8 seed? You're still barely over 500? Like, guys, that's a sad team. And they don't got anything to look forward to. Like, they don't got a young team. They have PJ Washington. They have Tim Hardaway Jr. Like, it's not a team like again, at least the Pistons and Wizards, even to some extent, have a young team at their core. They have people like Cade, they have people like Jordan Poole, who you can teach them. You can have them get better over time with the right coaching and the right team around them. Mavs have tried everything. They have two of the best players, two Hall of Famers, arguably, uh, and they still are middle of the pack every year. And that to me is one of the most depressing things as a fan. Like to see that over and over and over, never improving past that point just sucks.
Yeah, that's totally understandable. Sam?
I think the sleeper, maybe not sleeper. I'm gonna pick the Warriors. I think it's just the fall from grace was just very drastic. I think I thought at least maybe we thought maybe CP3 could be. I mean, we forgot CP3 was on this team to be honest.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like this team is like we call it dynasty, and this team became the worst team in the NBA. We cannot forget that that team was the worst team in the NBA like 4 years ago. Um, the thing that sucks is like how I compare for like dynasty teams is that like the Spurs. Let's just say Spurs for example. So Tim Duncan retired, Ginobili retired, they all kind of retired at once, and then our team was really shitty. The thing is like you still have Steph Curry, you have six-man Klay Thompson, you still have Draymond having this triple single. You still have the same three core, but it doesn't add up. It's like, I mean that Celtics game was like, I think it was proof that like it's time to turn the page officially, because the they really can't keep up with how it's like Steph put everyone on, but now he can't even stay on with them. With this whole 3-point game, it really changed a lot of things. I think it's even messed up a lot. Well, this game, I mean, the scoring is like ridiculous. Teams should not be scoring like 140 points. you know, Even 120 points as an average, like that's ridiculous. But I think it's, you know, just like the 49ers, it's time to just go home, go bed, Warriors. It's done. We're done here. The bay's sad.
So I actually agree with you very much on that, Sam. Mine is a little bit different. I mean, as a Bulls fan, I definitely want to say the Bulls, but I actually do have a little bit of hope, which is, a huge mistake if you're a Bulls fan. You should never have hope for this team. But Kobe White has actually been performing incredibly well without Zach LaVine. The one thing I'll say about the Bulls that makes me really upset is the fact that they didn't trade LaVine so much sooner. They should have traded him so much sooner than waiting for him to just get injured before the trade deadline, which was just stupid. And the fact that this team didn't do any kind of move is mind-boggling to me. But I think one of the most depressing teams in this league right now might be the Memphis Grizzlies. And I specifically say that for this year because I'm going to read the amount of injuries so far. Okay. So we've got Jaren Jackson Jr., we've got Derrick Rose, we've got Brandon Clark, we've got Desmond Bain, we've got Marcus Smart, and we have Ja Morant. So the entire team. I mean, you had a little bit of hope, with that Ja Morant was going to be coming back. When he did come back, he was playing pretty well. Got to give respect where respect is due. Marcus Smart was a very solid pickup for the Grizzlies. I do like his defense. He has a really good game. But like your entire team is basically injured, and there's just really not much to watch right now. It's kind of like you look at the roster and you see the potential, but you're not able to watch the potential. And that's very depressing to me. But that's what I've got to say about that one. Boys, it has been a wonderful first episode with you guys. We'll be coming out with more episodes, hopefully in the next coming weeks. Have everything a bit more structured for you guys. But this is our first time back as a group, as Kevin, Sam, and I. And we are excited to watch more basketball and talk more basketball with you guys. So this is your host, Matt. Sam, Kevin, signing off. Have a good night, guys.
Bucks and 6.